Welcome back to Hi Neighbor. I'm Ned Moultrie.
And I'm John Park.
This week, we're continuing with non-traditional students here at App and learning about what it means to face adversity in and outside of the classroom.
Appalachian prides itself on being a university that includes a diversity of ideas, passions, and personalities, but our guest today will share more about the challenges that still accompany being outside the norm.
We're looking forward to uncovering the details behind students becoming professionals, and we hope today's show will inspire you to follow your passions, regardless of how much you stand out within those spaces.
Join us in telling the stories of your peers as we say, Hi Neighbor! App State houses the Appalachian Police Officer Development Program, which is only the second of its kind in the nation and the only one in North Carolina. The 15 recent graduates endured early mornings, a late night's training, and we are so excited to have Officer Abigail Rivera on the show with us today to talk to us about her experience as a student and part-time officer. Officer Rivera, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I gotta ask, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're studying here at Appalachian?
Yes, I'm Abby. I'm a first-generation college student. I am Mexican-American. I am studying criminal justice with a minor in sociology. I also participated for my first 3 years here at App and the Hispanic Student Association.
Great. So tell me, what made you decide that you wanted to be part of the officer development program?
Well, I first reached out to the police department for work study because I have a work study grant. And the reason why I did that was because I'm a criminal justice major, and I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to do law enforcement or not, but I know I wanted to do something within the criminal justice itself. So when I reached out and I got a work study, some of the administrators, and especially Chief Stevenson, he talked to me about this idea and the academy that they had already set up in Indiana. And so when he said that he wanted to bring it here at App State, I was really excited about this opportunity that allowed me to really immerse myself in a program that was going to impact students here on campus. And if I was able to have an opportunity to be a part of that, then I definitely wanted to take advantage of it.
Absolutely. So what kind of trainings do you have to undergo to become a student police officer?
So the police development program, you have to do a year as a cadet, and that entails more of security jobs. So you would do Schaefer Center for events of that matter, or working football games, or doing security at the Levine Science Building. And then after you completed a whole year as a cadet, then you would be given an opportunity to attend the Appalachian BLET program, which is a basic law enforcement training in the summer. And then after you completing that and you have a chance to take the state exam, then that would certify you as a North Carolina Police certified law enforcement officer.
Gotcha. So how was your life as a student impacted when you took on the role?
So as a cadet, when I first did my first year with the program, it was a little bit kind of uneasy, I guess, for me, just wearing the uniform and going to these events and everything. It was an adjustment for myself because my friends saw me in a uniform for the first time and kind of really seeing like, wow, she really does want to do this job field. And then after I attended BLET in the summer, that completely changed my perspective and my respect towards law enforcement, everything that every officer in North Carolina has to go through. And personally, myself, I did not really enforce myself in the physical component. That was probably one of the hardest things for me, like running. Oh my God.
Making you run lots of laps,
yeah,
huh?
It was, but as I became a part-time officer and after I got sworn in and everything, I guess for the student aspect of it, for my academic, I had to make sure that that stays as my high standards because I do have to have higher than a 2.5 GPA to be in the program still. And so I take my academic very seriously. And so even Captain Mitchell, who's the director of the program, he always tells us, you know, your education comes first, your degree comes first. So I really love that they put our student life before our PTO life. And so once I'm in the uniform and I work dorm shifts or I'm working the football game, then that's when I become the law enforcement officer, which my job is to ensure the safety of everybody, whether it's in that stadium or whether they're on this campus. So
That's great. So tell me, what has been the most challenging part, would you say is the most challenging part of being an officer and a full-time student?
Time management. So time management for me, even when I was a student, it was kind of I wasn't really that good. Then I bought a planner, and it changed my life completely. So yeah, just I guess time management, because like I said, I had to focus on my academics as well, maintaining that. But then also shifts, having to work. The dorm shifts are from 6 p.m. to midnight, and I have an 8 a.m. the next morning.
Wow.
So it's kind of having to managing and kind of prioritizing certain things. So it's probably one of the biggest challenges for me.
For sure, but with all that work that you put in, there's got to be rewarding aspects as well, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say is the most rewarding aspect of being a part of this program?
The rewarding aspect of it is building connections with students on campus, faculty, staff, and it's through these events and through events like the football game, like getting to know alumni and meeting them and having the opportunity to say, oh wait, that's the girl that used to drive the Safe Ride. Oh wait, that's the girl that's in my class. She's really funny, which I hope people think I'm funny, but if not, that's fine. But just having that connection and building that relationship with community members here, I think that has been one of the most rewarding things for me, and people feeling comfortable, I guess, come up and talk to us.
For sure, and you said that you're a part of a lot of communities on campus. And so what is it like to be, you're not only a woman, but you're also a person of color. What is it like to be someone who's protecting this campus, belonging to those communities?
So my identity of being Latina was one of the biggest driving forces of my decision in being into law enforcement, because I truly believe that there needs to be diversification in the law enforcement aspect of it. And from my personal experiences with law enforcement, I had good and I had bad as well. And like I said previously, this opportunity came to Appalachian, and so my reason why I did it was because it was kind of making an impact or a change here locally. And so being Latina, at first it was very difficult because I was the only woman in my class, the only woman of color in my class. And so because I was a female, because I was a person of color, there was a lot of pressure on me. And there were moments where I was doing PT sessions at 5:45 in the morning where it's like, oh, okay, I really don't want to run this 3 miles today, or I don't want to go study this whatever we were learning that day. But I kept pushing because of my past experiences and because of my belief that I really do want to make a change in this aspect, in this law enforcement, and mend the communities within minority communities and also law enforcement, because I think there needs to be a bigger discussion of reform for both of them.
Absolutely. So I know that we are all very thankful for what you and the rest of the cadets are doing here on campus. But once you graduate, what are your plans?
So I recently applied for a full-time position here at Appalachian's police department. Like I said, I want to take steps into reforming the law enforcement aspect. And here at App, I truly believe that our police department needs to resemble as well all parts of our communities on this campus. And so I really would like to diversify it more.
Great. Well, Officer Rivera, I want to thank you so much for being with us today and for protecting our communities. Up next, our host Ned Moultrie speaks with a student who also stands out amongst his major and profession.
As we all strive toward our degree, there are times when we question if all of the hard work will truly be worth it. For some students, determining a major was a process of elimination, but for others, crossing the stage with one very specific degree in hand wouldn't be so easy. Here today to tell us about the personal challenges he faces with his major is nursing student Bryce Orr. Thank you so much for stopping by. Of course. Could you tell us a little bit about your academic experience prior to nursing school?
Yeah, so when I first came to Appalachian, I was actually a political science major thinking I was coming to school to be a lawyer, but I quickly realized that I don't have like the stern personality to be a lawyer and to stand up and do stuff like that. So actually my mom's a nurse, so I was very inspired by her to be a nurse. And so I always wanted to do it, but I always thought that the workload and everything that people were saying about how rigorous it is, I kind of lacked a lot of self-confidence. So I was a year behind and I really wanted to graduate on time. So I ended up taking chemistry 1 and 2 over the summer with labs and took up a lot of my freshman summer. And then the following 2 semesters, I took 19 and 20 hours to try to catch up, and even took another course over the summer to catch up in nursing. And It
So
was,
you're Superman. That's what you're telling me.
no, it's called lack of sleep. It was really bad. It was really bad, but I'm really grateful that I decided to go through with it. I'm really happy with how it turned out.
So how did you determine that you wanted to become a nursing student?
So it was really based off of my mom. So she's been a school nurse for over 20 years, and I realized when I would walk into the school how much of an impact she made. And I've always had a really caring personality, so I was like, I have to do something where I'm taking care of somebody, because I'd rather put everybody else before myself, and that's just the type of personality I have. And also my grandma is a nurse too,
Oh, this runs in the family.
so it just runs in the family. My sister's an EMT, so we're all kind of, and other sisters are surge techs, so we're all just kind of in the medical field. And yeah, I knew that wanted to go into work every day was something interesting. You always come out not knowing what's going to happen, and just kind of the impact is really what drove me to want to be a nurse.
Yeah, something different every day.
Every day.
Can't do no cubicle. Can't do no cubicle. Did you ever consider a different route at any point in time, or?
Well, at first, yeah, political science is what I did consider, and then I started taking classes for nursing, and I took all these science courses, and I was like, this is it. Like, I found everything to be not easy, but it came straight, like, to me, and everything was. But yeah, now sometimes you kind of like, or you're up at 4 in the morning and you're trying to study for pharmacology or pathophysiology, and you just got another lecture from another teacher, and you're like, am I really wanting to do this? But then you go to clinical and you're like, okay, yeah, this is it. It's going to be worth it in the end.
So obviously it's very stressful, especially just getting into the program alone. So when you realized and when you were told that you got in, how did you feel?
So we found out we got in March. We had interviews in February, and I was just excited to get an interview because they cut a lot of students. So it was March, and I was sitting at my desk at IT. I work on campus, and I remember I've been upset for like 2 weeks because I was like, this interview went terribly. I'm like, I'm gonna have to pick another route. And so many thoughts were going in my head, and I was kind of just like in a really bad rut. And they were like, we're sending out the emails today. And so I was at work, and I just like saw something pop up that said nursing, and I was like, oh.
Hard drop.
I was like, this is it. And I opened it, and I literally stayed silent for 10 minutes, walked outside, called my mom, and I just screamed. And she cried on the phone and everything, and like she was like, you're actually gonna be doing this. And that was like the best thing that's happened to me in my college career.
Oh, that is so amazing. So what's crazy is it's almost like another world with those classes and everything.
Yeah.
And like, you know, not many people even travel to that side of campus. So can you kind of talk about some of the class structures and what it's like?
Yeah, so luckily, whenever so I'm the class of 2021, so shout out to them, by the way.
Hey.
So we have the new building, so it is like we're in another new world. We have new stimulation labs. We have these so-called dummies that do everything a person does, from peeing to birthing babies. So it's like we actually get to do that experience. So my classes right now, the way it's set up, I don't have class on Monday or Fridays because we use those to study. Tuesday and Thursdays we have our didactic courses, so we're in class from 8 to 2, and then we do labs. And then on Wednesdays we have clinical, so we have to be up at 4 a.m. and be at the hospital. I'm at Ash Memorial, so I'm about 45 minutes away, so I have to leave a little bit earlier. And we're in clinical all day until about 5, and then we come back and study more.
Oh my gosh. So aside from all the stress and all the proud moments, what are some of the things that you just are memorable, something that you enjoyed? What are some of your favorable moments?
I think it's really clinical, like to see all of your didactic courses and your lab skills coming together and forming you to be the RN that you want to strive to be, and providing that holistic patient-centered care. And like, so the other day, actually, the last week, I was taking care of this really sweet woman at the hospital, and I was just having a really bad day, and I was trying to provide the best care I possibly could, because you have to set everything aside when you're doing nursing, because there are people that are in a very vulnerable spot, and they have something worse than you do, and they have worse things going on. And she just looked at me and she was like, I'm so thankful you're here today, and I'm thankful for your care. And I was like, that is exactly what I needed to hear. And it was just to pick me up, and for the rest of the week I was like on a cloud, because it's like, what you're doing is right. And I felt like at that moment I was like, I belong in nursing.
Literally,
it
brings a tear to the eye.
Literally.
And that is literally why you do it. So, you know, as a female-dominant profession, have you encountered any struggles or challenges as a male?
That is definitely the biggest struggle, I think, of being a male in nursing, is especially when we're South, since we're in the South, it's you walk in, you take care of a female, and she's like, I don't want you here, because you're seeing everything, and you're they're just in a very vulnerable spot as it is, and so going there, they're like, I don't want you taking care of me. Husbands are like, I don't want you taking care of my wife. And there's kind of the stigma that men can't care as much as women can. And knowing me, I'm like, that's
that mold.
yeah. And so then every time I walk into a room, everybody assumes that I'm a doctor, and because they think that every man who comes in the medical field, I guess, has to be a doctor. And so it's kind of frustrating. And then I want to go into OB, which is very female dominant. And so the other day I was at clinical and I was really like, there was about to be a birth happen, and I was like, okay, I really want to watch this because like this is what I want to do. And she finds out it's a man that's the nurse, and she's like, I don't want him in the room with me. So it's more of just that stigma that men can't care like that. They have to be doctors, and it's really frustrating, but you get used to it.
Well, clearly you're breaking this. You're amazing. So,
Thank you.
Have to ask, how did others around you react when they kind of discovered that you're doing this?
My mom at first was like, because growing up, she knows like kind of grossed out about things. She was like, I have no idea why you're doing this. And then I kind of like talked to her one day, and she was like, hey, maybe you can do this. And my sisters were happy about it. Everybody else was kind of like, yeah, you're the mom friend of the group. You should be doing this. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I should. But everybody's been really supportive and really great. And kind of my friends, I feel bad because I never get to see them anymore. But they're like, you're doing it, and you just got to keep going. And it's been great.
Any advice for somebody that's hoping to possibly graduate with a nursing degree in the future? Any words of encouragement?
Yeah, stick to it. Stick to it. And if you're going to do it, make sure you really want to do it, because you're going to wake up at 3 a.m. and you're going to be like, do I really want to do this? And if you don't, then you just need to stop. And make sure you do good in your chemistry classes and your anatomy classes, because the science matters, and it's going to pop up again. Like, this is the major where your gen eds actually matter. Your psychology classes, your anatomies, your chemistries, everything comes together. And I think if you want to be the best nurse possible, you need to pay attention to those classes. And you just need to fight through it, because there's going to be nights where you're going to be like, I can't do this. And some nights I thought the same thing, but I'm here, and you can get through it. And if I can get through it, I'm sure y'all can get through it.
Bryce, thank you so much. You are amazing.
Thank you so much for having me.
Walking superhero. Thank you so much. Coming up, we have a few more people we would like you to meet on our Meet Your Neighbor segment.
Hi neighbor, my name's Ann Dixon. I'm the owner of Galileo's in Boone, North Carolina, and the reason I love Boone is because it's home.
Hi neighbor, my name's Rio Sahil and I'm the owner of Regear Outdoors. The reason why I love the community here in Boone is because of all the awesome outdoor adventure opportunities. You get to go rock climbing, whitewater paddling, just hiking and getting out. It's a great place.
It takes a lot of dedication, time, and talent to create one video game. And to make several of them before even heading into a career is truly an impressive feat. Here to shine a light on video game development process and highlight their experiences with making video games here at App is CS Major Ruby Hall. Hi Ruby, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, it's really good to be here.
Awesome, thank you for showing up. So if you don't mind me asking, how did you get into developing video games?
Like honestly, I've been playing games like my entire life basically. Like it started since I was 5.
Yeah.
And then I just love them. I absolutely fell in love with them. So eventually I came to the conclusion where it's like, I think I want to try and make these.
Exactly.
So at my school, in high school, I ended up taking some programming classes, like, because programming is like the biggest like challenge of getting
why
in.
Not learn some of the bases?
And then I started I made my first game. I'm like, wow, this is so much fun to do. Then I worked with some people, made another one.
Right. What does it take to become a video game developer?
What does it take? I'd say it takes just the willingness to learn, because there's so many different aspects that you can get into for making a game. Because there's the programming side, then you have to make art for the game, you have to make sounds for the game, and then you have to program it, put that all together. So there's a ton of things you can do. So you can go with your strengths and just apply that.
Yeah. And obviously it's a hobby, more of a high maintenance hobby, because it's kind of, difficult, because obviously it's not like, it takes time to learn. So What are some of the most rewarding parts of the hobby, would you say?
The rewarding parts. I love having people play my games because it's like, here's what I worked so hard on.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just so satisfying just to have something you can show to people.
Also, what's a frustrating part? Something that just kind of grinds your gears a little bit when you're trying to figure this out.
I mean, for me personally, it's kind of just like unique to every game. There's like one little challenge, like a programming thing, or like trying to figure out what you want to do. There's always like, it's kind of unique to every project, but it's always like that one thing you can't figure out, but it's super rewarding when you do figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, that's like the best feeling.
It's like solving a riddle.
Yeah.
So what kind of video games have you made?
I've made a couple. I can just talk about my most recent one. I made this in my senior year of high school. I'm a college freshman right now, so
Yeah.
that was earlier this year, like spring this year. So I basically made this game where it was a roguelike game. A roguelike game is one of those games where the level will randomly generate every time you go to play it.
I love that. Oh, something different every time.
So I didn't really like complete it, but I have like the shell of like making the level and spawning in all the items and enemies that you can run into. So that was a really fun experience.
Okay. And building off of that one, are you still kind of developing that one, or are there any new games you're developing right now?
I haven't really touched it since I graduated because I don't know, I just haven't had time for it because over the summer I was doing stuff.
Yeah.
I would like
Getting
an
ready
internship.
for college.
Yeah, getting ready for college. And then now I got involved with the game development club at App. So if I feel like doing games, like that's kind of what I think about or what I'm going to work on.
So have you struggled at any point in this hobby, you know, being a female? Some people would stereotype that's more male dominant or whatever.
Yeah.
Have you almost struggled in kind of finding a nice little rhythm or people to work with when doing this?
It's all about the people you're around. I found like some excellent people to be around. Honestly, I just do this with my friends, and it's just the most fun I've ever had, I'd say. I haven't really run into any struggles because of just the setting I'm doing this in. I haven't really done this in any professional capacity, but like I do it in school and I do it with friends, so I haven't really ran into that. But I do understand that that is a thing that happens.
How would you say App's computer science program kind of enables one to get creative in the aspect of, you know, maybe making video games or something like that?
You know, just my glasses. Okay. So, to answer your question, there's a game development club that I'm a part of. So if you really want to find out, hey, I kind of want to make games, you can like get into that club, get involved, experience what it's like.
What are some resources maybe people could look into if they really wanted to start maybe developing their own games or something like that?
Oh, there's so many resources available, especially online. You can find everything you want to do online. So if you just find a game engine that you want to develop in, usually the company that made the game engine has a ton of tutorials you can look at. But even if you don't want to look at that, there's lots of independent creators who make like their own tutorials and how-tos and how to learn how to program. And there's plenty of websites that will tell you everything. So
gotta love the internet.
It's all out there on the internet.
Well, thank you for taking your time to be with us today, Ruby. Thank you for giving us the tea on creating video games and stuff.
Thanks so much for having
Awesome
me.
to have you. That's it for this week's episode.
Thank you for joining us to hear from those who break from traditional gender roles with their academic passions as mountaineers.
Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at watchapptv.com and check out our YouTube channel, AppTV, for more content.
Until next time, bye neighbor.